Listening, fill in the blanks.
Let's start.
It could be said that the first industrial community in England grew up around the Thames, with the host of river workers themselves, as well as the vast assembly of ancillary trades such as tavern keepers and laundresses, food sellers and street hawkers, shopkeepers and marine store dealers. There was a workforce of many thousands congregated in a relatively small area. There were more varieties of business to be observed by the riverside than in any other part of the city. As a result, with the possible exception of the area known as Seven Dials, the East End was also the most intensively inhabited region of London.
All of these occupations persisted for many centuries, as did those jobs that depended upon the trade of the river. Yet, it was not easy work for any of the workers. They carried most goods upon their backs, since the rough surfaces of the quays and nearby streets were not suitable for wagons or large carts. The merchandise characteristically arrived in barrels, which could be rolled from the ship along each quay. If the burden was too great to be carried by a single man, then the goods were slung on poles resting on the shoulders of two men. It was a slow and expensive method of business.
Psychologists have long held that a person's character cannot undergo a transformation in any meaningful way, and that the key traits of personality are determined at a very young age. However, researchers have begun looking more closely at ways we can change. Positive psychologists have identified 24 qualities we admire, such as loyalty and kindness, and are studying them to find out why they come so naturally to some people. What they're discovering is that many of these qualities amount to habitual behavior that determines the way we respond to the world. The good news is that all this can be learned. Some qualities are less challenging to develop than others, optimism being one of them. However, developing qualities requires mastering a range of skills.
Essential oils are fragrant concentrates found in plants. The oils are extracted through cold pressing or steam distillation, although other methods can be used depending on the type of plant. Purity is of the utmost importance when it comes to essential oils. For this reason, one must opt for established aromatherapy suppliers while making purchases and not the commercial-grade product that has been engineered to meet the demands of perfume industries. These oils are extremely complex chemical structures and consist of an elaborate mixture of aromatic compounds such as alcohols, aldehydes, esters, ketones, lactones, phenols, terpenes and sesquiterpenes, which combine to produce a unique set of therapeutic qualities.
One fascinating use of active electroreception, known as the jamming avoidance response mechanism, has been observed between members of some species known as the weakly electric fish. When two such electric fish meet in the ocean using the same frequency, each fish will then shift the frequency of its discharge so that they are transmitting on different frequencies. Doing so prevents their electroreception faculties from becoming jammed. Long before citizens band radio users first had to yell, "Get off my frequency," at hapless novices cluttering the airwaves, at least one species had found a way to peacefully and quickly resolve this type of dispute. Certainly, any prospective time travelers may have to overcome more physical and logical hurdles than merely overtaking the speed of light. One such problem, posited by René Barjavel in his 1943 text, Le Voyageur Imprudent, is the so-called grandfather paradox. Barjavel theorized that, if it were possible to go back in time, a time traveler could potentially kill his own grandfather. If this were to happen, however, the time traveler himself would not be born, which is already known to be true. In other words, there is a paradox in circumventing an already known future. Time travel is able to facilitate past actions that mean time travel itself cannot occur.
Libraries and archives are cultural crossroads of knowledge exchange, where the past transmits information to the present, and where the present has the opportunity to inform the future. Bureaucracies have become the backbone of civilizations, as governments try to keep track of populations, business transactions, and taxes. At a personal level, our lives are governed by the documents we possess. We are certified on paper literally from birth to death, and written documentation carries enormous cultural importance. Consider the consequences of signing the foundation document of the United Nations or the Convention on Biological Diversity.
The source of the red is widely known. It is created by anthocyanins, water-soluble plant pigments reflecting the red to blue range of the visible spectrum. They belong to a class of sugar-based chemical compounds, also known as flavonoids. What's puzzling is that anthocyanins are actually newly minted, made in the leaves at the same time as the tree is preparing to drop them. But it is hard to make sense of the manufacture of anthocyanins. Why should a tree bother making new chemicals in its leaves when it's already scrambling to withdraw and preserve the ones already there? An important archaeological discovery on the island of Efate in the Pacific archipelago of Vanuatu has revealed traces of an ancient seafaring people, the distant ancestors of today's Polynesians. The site came to light only by chance. An agricultural worker, digging in the grounds of a derelict plantation, scraped open a grave, the first of dozens in a burial ground some 3,000 years old. It is the oldest cemetery ever found in the Pacific Islands, and it harbors the remains of an ancient people archaeologists call the Lapita. They were daring blue water adventurers who used basic canoes to rove across the ocean. But they were not just explorers. They were also pioneers who carried with them everything they would need to build new lives: their livestock, taro seedlings, and stone tools.